Welcome back to Morning Joe. It is Friday, January 24th. Let's bring in Senate Minority Leader, Democrat Chuck Schumer of New York. Senator Schumer, it is great to have you on the show this morning.
Good morning to you all.
Senator, so the Democrats have finished their opening comments. They've made their case to the American people. Do you think it will persuade one Republican?
I am hopeful that it will, certainly on the issue of witnesses and documents. We have 10, 12 Republicans who have never said anything negative about witnesses and documents, and that's because it's so obvious. If you're seeking the truth, the very truth that Colonel Vindman, in that very moving part of the testimony last night, told his father, "Don't worry, Dad, this is America. We believe in the truth." That was so moving. And I saw the Republicans, I watched them. Every eye was riveted, you know. When they're hearing things they don't want to hear half the time, they're looking down, they're talking to someone nearby. But in the two summations of Adam Smith and at certain other moments, they were riveted. And Garcia's presentation of Vindman and what his dad said was moving. So that we want the truth. We want witnesses and documents. And a powerful case has been made for those. The American people, every day, more and more Americans, as they watch this, say, why not witnesses and documents? And so I am, am I certain we're going to get them? Absolutely not. But do we have a chance, a reasonable chance, particularly if we keep fighting the case and they don't have any good argument against it, which they don't? Yes, I'm hopeful we can. And once you get witnesses and documents, once these eyewitnesses, I mean, there was another telling moment there, just excuse me a minute, and that was the graphic and granular discussion of the meeting with John Bolton on the 10th. And it was so clear that the chief cook and bottle washer, who knew everything, was the chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney. It just cried out, why aren't we listening to him? Why aren't we hearing what he has to say? So there were some powerful moments that, and you know, when our Republican friends go to sleep and think of the weight of the Constitution on their shoulders and think history will record them, yeah, I think we got a shot. I do.
Well, today, of course, you all finish up talking about obstruction of Congress. Were you not given actually exhibit number one in the president's own statement earlier this week when he said Democrats don't have all the evidence? We are holding all the evidence.
Yes, of course. The argument is so apparent, and as Adam Schiff made so clear brilliantly last night, is so part of the American grain that we are a country established on truth, established on fact, that the case keeps getting stronger and stronger from what the Republicans don't say. You know, we haven't heard a single answer yet why there shouldn't be witnesses and documents. We hear a lot of finger pointing and shiny objects. Oh, they're taking too long, or oh, Nancy handed out pens, or oh, Jerry Nadler said these words. But they cannot answer the argument, and the American people, to each of their senators, Democrat and Republican, is asking now and will ask on into the future, why were you so afraid of witnesses and documents? What's wrong with getting the truth on something so important as this?
Well, especially when 7 out of 10 Americans want to see witnesses, more witnesses. Let me ask you about the witness deal that some Republicans were floating that was trading Bolton for Hunter Biden. Is the idea of that deal dead?
Well, it's never really been seriously considered. Let me just say this. The witnesses that we have asked for are eyewitness, like Mick Mulvaney, to everything that happened. And the few Republicans, there are some who are saying, well, I don't know if this is all really true. It's all secondhand, which it isn't, but still. Every one of these witnesses, these documents will answer this directly. Hunter Biden has nothing to do with this. And by the way, and people forget this, the Republicans could call Hunter Biden on their own. They have 53 votes. You know why they don't? Because they know that will just confirm to every American that everything the president has done in this whole sad saga, everything the president's lawyers are doing, everything the Republican senators are doing is just political. They call in Hunter Biden, someone totally unrelated to the charges against the president.
So, Senator, you were making a really important point about revelations from the Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney. There are bombshells right and left in this information that has come out and the threat to our national security. What I see as a dilemma is perhaps the constant devaluation of the truth on the part of Trump and Trump Republicans. How do you make the case and prevent that from happening? Because it is happening as we speak. There are a number of Americans who think what's happening in Washington doesn't matter. It's all a bunch of whatever. And they're getting that from the Republicans and from President Trump himself.
And from certain news organizations, not yours. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
And by the way, this is the first time probably a majority of Republicans have heard the whole case start to finish. They've heard bits and pieces. Many of them hear it on Fox News, and we know what Fox News does. They leave out the most damning parts against the president, and they even distort some of them. So it's true. But here's what's amazed us. I started 4 weeks ago on this campaign for witnesses and documents when I sent a letter to McConnell. I called Nancy that night and said, I'm going to do it. She said, great. She agrees. And I've been pleasantly and strongly surprised how much support this is getting. In other words, as Joe mentioned, over 70%, over 60% of Republicans, and the Republicans almost always, the Republican rank and file this is in all this polling data, they march with Trump lock, stock, and barrel. And so truth matters to Americans, and getting all the facts matters to Americans. It's deep in our bones. It was deep in George Washington and James Madison's bones, the patriots who risked their lives for our country. It's deep in the people who come to this country, like Colonel Vindman in that moving testimony yesterday. And so I think that, it is true. There's a lot of mistruth, and Trump labels anything he doesn't like as fake news. But if you believe in America, if you believe in the depth and strength in America, and if you keep fighting, you can't just roll over and say, forget about it. You can win these fights. And that's why I'm fighting as hard as I am.
Senator Schumer, one final quick question. What was your reaction yesterday when one of your colleagues questioned the patriotism of Purple Heart recipient Vindman?
It speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. It will, not to the same extent, but to quote Franklin D. Roosevelt, it'll go down in infamy.
Yeah.
You really will.
All right.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, thank you so much for being on the show this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.